How do you think we should think about it in terms of these autocratic regimes?
Well, again, obviously very bad for China and of course, for human rights in China. I've got to say, though, she is being rewarded for just one problem move after another over the past 5 years. He's declared war on entrepreneurs. He's declared war on capitalism. He's gone in and shattered Hong Kong standing as a financial center that's vibrant and growing. You look at his zero COVID policy. And again, this guy has done more to help the United States stay competitive against China than anybody else. It reminds me, Joe is old enough, the other morning Joe is old enough to remember in the late 1980s, we always heard about the Japan that could say no. Yep. Japan was going to overtake us. Yeah, I got so tired of hearing it then. And when I started hearing 10 years ago that China was going to overtake us and turn America into its granary, I rolled my eyes because authoritarian regimes are inconsistent with capitalism. She's proven it again, and he's being rewarded for declaring war on the private sector, on entrepreneurs, on the things that'll help China grow.
Hey, Joe, can we I want to tie this back to actually Russia. We were talking to Gary Kasparov earlier about what's happening in Ukraine. He effectively went after the Elon Musks of the world that have been arguing that we have to find some kind of settlement. What do you think should happen here? And what do you think the Biden administration should or should not be doing?
Well, we've got to do two things at once. We've got to continue supporting Ukraine. And at the same time, we have to understand that, Russia and Putin control nuclear weapons. And like Putin doesn't have any checks and balances on him. You go back to Khrushchev's days, after the Cuban Missile Crisis, he had a Politburo that could actually check his power. And when they believed he was unbalanced, the Politburo moved and pushed Khrushchev out. There are no checks and balances on Vladimir Putin. So we have to do two things at once. We have to support Ukraine. And at the same time, we have to be looking at opportunities down the road for Ukraine to make peace.
Kasparov says effectively that the only way this ends or should end is for Ukraine to win. What does that even mean? And the reason I ask that is because for them to win could put a lot of other people at risk, and that's sort of the question. Which is the bigger risk?
Well, I love Gary, and I've got the greatest respect for him. And I think we have to be all in on Ukraine and supporting Ukraine. That said, again, Vladimir Putin has nuclear weapons. He's talked about the fact that he could use nuclear weapons. Two things can be true at once. We can support Ukraine, but that support has to be to get as much of their land back as possible and make sure they're secure in the future. But there's not going to be a USS Missouri moment where Vladimir Putin is going to sit and sign documents surrendering to Zelensky. That's not going to happen. So we have to find a middle ground.
Hey, Joe, I want to pivot the conversation to a totally other place. It's actually something we were talking about, I think, late last week, and this is Kanye West. But it's also a little bit maybe about the concept of cancel culture, the concept of when you cancel, when you don't cancel. Over the weekend, you saw Balenciaga canceling its relationship, if you will, with Kanye West. Adidas has not. There's a headline in the L.A. Times this morning, more anti-Semitic hate seen in L.A. after Kanye West's remarks. What do you think business is supposed to do in these kind of situations?
I think business needs to do what's in the best interest of business. They need to look at their bottom line. Everybody whined about what the NFL did a couple of years ago. The NFL obviously knew what it was doing. There are a lot of things that the NFL did that I didn't like. I thought Major League Baseball overreacted by taking the All-Star game out of Atlanta. There were some, perhaps MLB should have actually read the voting bill and understood that it's harder to vote in New York State than it is in Georgia. And if you look at the early voting numbers this morning, it proves it. In a case of Kanye West, though, Ari Emanuel, a guy that we all know very well, Ari wrote a letter saying, hey, there's no middle ground here. This guy continues to inspire anti-Semites across the country. He, like Mel Gibson before, he's made anti-Semitic statements. Ari Emanuel and other people in Hollywood began working with Mel Gibson again when he at least understood that he had stepped over the line, that he asked, for forgiveness. He apologized. and move forward. Kanye West seems to be doubling down. So what company wants to be associated with him?